Welcome to the show where we spotlight Bionicle MOCs from across the LEGO community to give you ideas for your own future builds. This is the Bionicle Inspiration Series. Today we're going to be talking about some big boys, some Bionicle Titans. What do I mean by Titan? Well, I figured I'd read the description on Brickopedia just to see what's actually written out there, because I always describe it as like big Bionicles. But it says Bionicle Titans, or Bionicle Warriors, are the largest sets from Bionicle. Their prices typically start at $20 or £14. These are the Bionicle Warrior sets, and it goes on to list a bunch of them. I've never heard the term Bionicle Warriors before. I've always heard Titans, but hey, maybe some people want to refer to it as that instead. That's fine. But back in the day, some of the more expensive Bionicle sets were often the larger ones, and so that term's just kind of carried on today. If you are building a larger form Bionicle, it's just referred to as a Titan. So we'll look at some huge Bionicles now. Let's begin with the very first one. It's by Mohammed Mari, and this is the Great Shogun. I like seeing all these wonderful part uses all throughout the head design of this MOC. So we've got some dark red Chima Speedors parts on the side of the helmet here. These come in this specific set. They were used on the little bike in the middle here. The piece was dark red here with some printing on it. It appeared in a variety of other colors as well. But yeah, that piece had that kind of more angular shape to it. And when you put them on their side here and use it on the sides of the helmet, it really shapes the helmet in a very, very accurate and very nice way. So really clever part use there. We've also got some nice swords and these axe pieces in gold on the very top of the helmet. Great combination there. Looks lovely. And then a bucket handle piece for the nose, or I guess maybe, I don't know, just part of the detailing of the mask. And then we've also got these tan gear pieces for the teeth on that mask. Always a good technique to use those gear pieces for teeth. It just always looks cool. And yeah, just in general, this is such an accurate and beautiful head design. There's also been a nice inclusion of some of these black tread pieces on the base of the arms here. It certainly looks a bit like armor, and it's nice to see that this black area is actually getting some nice attention. You know, so much detail has been put into this wonderful dark red armor, and thankfully the area underneath that isn't just getting ignored. There is still some nice texture and stuff there, which is good. These treads are pretty common parts as well. They appear in a variety of different sets, much like this old TIE Crawler set, for example. Yeah, you get a lot of treads in that set, and pretty much any set that comes with those treads, you get a good, healthy supply. So it's nice to know you're more or less like set for life if you buy even just one set with a bunch of treads in it. You know, if you want to do a technique like that. Honestly, this is just a really epic display. This will look great on a shelf or on your desk or something, you know. If LEGO ever made a set like this, it would certainly be a day one buy for me. It's just beautiful to see. And while the size of this build is, you know, what makes it so impressive, I think what actually really makes this stand out is the phenomenal detail that's scattered all throughout this MOC, like the gold studs that add some nice, you know, pops to this beautiful armor, little things like the red cloth piece on the weapon, or the really complex and well thought out head design that we were talking about before. There's just heaps going on. Now, due to the huge size of a MOC like this, obviously there's more surface area to cover, which means you need more pieces to fill in that space. But it's good to note that on a MOC like this, they haven't ignored the high levels of detail that have been put into this. You could have very easily just slapped like one or two larger armor pieces onto the arm and called it a day, but instead they've really packed in a lot more parts into it to make it not only look accurate to actual, you know, samurai warriors, but just make it look really cool and complex and pretty. And yes, that's sometimes is more expensive and a little bit more parts intensive, but it's just so impressive when it's done like that. So I think that's certainly something to ask yourself when you do build a Titan MOC. You know, are you willing to put a little bit of extra money into it, or, you know, sacrifice a bunch more pieces within your collection and put it into the one MOC? You know, do you want really epic results like that, or do you want to tone it down a little bit? Nothing wrong with doing that, of course, but just putting a bit of like kind of pre-thought into some of that is always a good idea. You don't want to blow your budget too soon. Sam K. Bricks has built Toa Ignica Forced into Life. This one's actually really unique, and I think that's why I love it. Let me read the bio on Flickr to shed some light on the concept behind this MOC. Sam was saying that they originally were making this for Ron OC's Bionicle What If contest, but, well, things happened and they didn't make the deadline. Unfortunate. To be fair, though, they said that the factor of, you know, the what if factor, which was key to the contest, building a character and reimagining it in some fashion, he felt that the build didn't really kind of have that, unfortunately. The original idea or concept they had behind this kind of fell apart. But they were happy because now they got a cool guy to put on their shelf. So he ended up saying that, let's just say that this is Toa Ignika, but for some reason the Mask of Life itself made a Titan body for him and then gave him 4 arms, protruding ribs, and a genuinely more nightmarish appearance. So that's what the Bio and Flickr said, and I don't know about you, but I always enjoy seeing really different takes on characters or like different variants or even just like concept art that showcases the different looks for the character that they were playing with or considering. And to me, this kind of fits right in the pocket of that. A much larger 4-armed version of the classic set Toa Ignika. Why not? Why does he have 4 arms? I don't know, and honestly, it doesn't really matter because it looks cool. So yeah, next time you're building something, why not make a 4-armed Toa Ignika? Or why not, I don't know, make Liwa huge and give him wings, or build Makuta but instead he is a goat with a snake for a tail. Weird and different takes that are a bit more unique and fun like that, they're cool. So the concept's great, but yeah, the mock itself is very well built too. Those Kitongu Borok shell pieces at the sort of top of the shoulders here, which of course came in the set Kitongu, they make for awesome shoulder pads. I love that little hint of Keat Orange on this mock is really helping to bring out the otherwise somewhat more, I guess, bland color scheme of silver, black, and gray. It's still a fine color scheme, by the way. There's nothing really wrong with it, but certainly adding a little bit of extra color to it, it does a lot. But it's nice to know that there's not many Keat Orange pieces in there. It's just those shells and then a couple other pieces on the leg, and that's it. So it's nice to know if you only put a couple minimal pieces in there of a different color, sometimes that's all that's needed. The torso on this is great as well. I love seeing that interesting cylinder thing in the center there with what appears to be little hints of like lime green inside it. So this, of course, is the Naira Ghost Blaster pump that can be seen on the weapons of the Toa Mystica, as well as the villains as well. But yeah, that's such a cool looking piece, and when you combine it with those interesting ribs that we were talking about before, it's a very nice looking torso design. Plus, we got some cool pistons on the legs. Combining that with those prefab armor pieces looks really slick. And then, yeah, that arm design too, using those jet engine pieces for the lower arms. Really, really cool. There's just a lot to love about this. What started off as a build that didn't turn out the way that may be planned, still turned out really cool. HQNKQ has built his own version of Ikimu. Now, Ikimu is a really cool character. He came in 2 sets, 70795, where we see him as just a tiny little boy, or just a little smaller build. He's not actually young. And then we have the set 71312. I'm reading these off of the thing. I promise you I didn't memorize set numbers. And he comes in a larger scale, which is more in line with the other Uniter sets. So they all similar in build. Now, both versions of Ikimu I thought were pretty cool. I always enjoyed them. But Ikimu, yeah, he's such an important and powerful character. It kind of only makes sense that we'd see him in a larger and more impressive and, I guess, like, stronger-looking form. To me, it's very similar to like when we got Matanui in his set when he was, smaller and Toa-sized. But then we, of course, got the big Toa Matanui set, which was way cooler and very fitting for the character. So I'm almost a little surprised LEGO didn't do that with Ikimu, although I'm also not, because they cancelled G2 and they probably had grander plans in the future and stuff, who knows. But still, we can do that with our own LEGO pieces and build something cool, and that's been done here for sure. But what I really like about this is it's nice to see the basics of the set still remaining on this mock. It still uses the same torso. It keeps the exact same mask, which is such a beautiful mask in the trans-light blue color. Oh, so cool. He's got the classic hammer as well. This is a very different design, but to be honest, I probably far prefer this design to the one that was originally on the set. And then for the most part, the armor on the limbs is actually pretty similar. It uses similar pieces, but again, things have been added to it. You kind of need it to when you're beefing up the scale like this. And, it wouldn't look particularly great if it only had like 1 or 2 armor pieces on the limbs. You gotta add more. Now, while it's all mostly the same with minor changes, the things they've added I think are really cool. I love on the torso these cool greeble details just behind the armor on the torso. There's hints of gears and other dark grey pieces. I really like that. I feel like the gears add a nice ancient look to him, kind of implying a bit of history for the character. Being able to see those sort of internal workings and stuff, to me it implies a sense of age. It's almost like wrinkles for a robot character like this. Well, at least that's how I see it. Whenever I think of gears, I think of like old clocks or rusted old steampunk machines and stuff like that. So it's just kind of the aesthetic that I see with that. If you were to think of a brand new, cool looking robot, it would probably be a lot more like sleek and modern and, to me, that's the difference there, and why I say that about this build. So yeah, I certainly think that works with the character and the storyline, and it's just a really nice look. But overall, a really nice looking build that pays homage to the original set, but also advances it forward in new and really exciting ways. We'll finish off now with Reganalian D's, and they have built Asura. Man, this is really cool. There's just such an impressive scale to this MOC, and just an insane amount of detail all throughout it as well. I mean, let's just look at the waist alone. You know, there's a bunch of these tread pieces here, which are being used to kind of form like a nice waist cape of sorts. These tread pieces are larger ones compared to the ones we were looking at before. These have been used here in black and dark brown. And these appear in a few different sets, but most notably this Ninjago one here. Covering this with treads, and then on top of that, putting those round tiles onto it. Very pretty. And then we've got a nice decorative look everywhere else with these beautiful chains and necklaces and rings and just all sorts going on. So this, of course, is taking inspiration from depictions of Asura, where they're seen with a lot of ornamentation or jewelry or decorations and things. I think it's great to see how that then translates so well into LEGO form here. And, you know, I don't think it's that common to see highly decorated MOCs like this that are just covered in jewelry and other cool details. Yeah, sometimes you see a build with a nice necklace or something, but that's kind of it. You know, to see it all throughout this, you just don't see that every day. And it's a really nice aesthetic. And, you know, I guess on a huge build like this, it works in your favor because there's just more surface area for you to cover it with that sort of stuff. If you were to try and put this on a smaller scale MOC, you probably wouldn't even really have room to do it. It's just really cool. We also have a nice shoulder design up the top here. It uses this curved gold piece, and it is a part of a larger balloon element that we see on a set like this. It's appeared in a variety of other colors and other sets too, though. But yeah, it's such an awesome piece with just a really unique shape to it. So I love seeing them perfectly implemented into the shoulder design here because I think it beautifully blends the arm design up into the torso and just creates a really smooth, seamless transition there. So yeah, really nice design, but we can also see these pieces being used on the waist again. They almost look like some kind of curved fabric, and the natural curvature of these pieces gives it a very distinct kind of line there that just feels so in the vein of the aesthetic of this MOC. It's two really beautiful ways of using that piece here. It's phenomenal. And this head design is very impressive too. You know, the description on Flickr says, Asura is the god of Hinduism and Buddhism, and it's said that he is a king of ghosts with 3 faces, 6 arms, and likes to fight in the world of ghosts. So you can see the yellow tooth pieces looking like multiple sets of eyes here, and that could certainly match that 3-faced look that the description was talking about. And you also see that in various other depictions of the character as well. But when I originally saw this, I thought that the negative space between those 2 yellow pieces was actually the pupil, and instead this was just a really thin, long eye on one specific face, not 3 separate faces. And I kind of like that this is, similar to certain creatures in the animal kingdom who have patterns or different things on their body that look like a false face, and they often use it to trick other animals or scare other animals and things like that. So I like that this could be 3 faces, or it could be 1. It's maybe kind of an interesting trick of the eye sort of thing. I don't know if that was the original intention. Maybe I'm just looking at this wrong and I'm being a silly boy, but that's what I see, and I think that's actually pretty cool. I mean, just to kind of power through some of the other really cool parts of this, there's a lot of great weapons on this. Here's a nice solo shot of all those weapons. Beautiful. We've also got some lovely flame details on the arm. Great choice to do that. Big old ring on the back is a lovely touch. And then we've also got a great big old dark blue cloth piece on the torso. There's just so much about this build that's insane. I could probably do a whole episode on this, so I'm unfortunately going to cut it a little bit short, but there's certainly a lot to talk about on this, so I encourage you, please check the links in the description and go take a look at all the different photos of this on the Flickr account for this character build here, because there's a lot of photos there, so you can really study this in depth if you want to, but unfortunately we only have so much time on every Bionicle Inspiration Series episode, but all you need to know is this is a really, really beautiful MOC with all sorts of cool stuff going on. Much like this base, by the way. I want to quickly talk about that before we finish. The stand that it's standing on, really cool. The clouds on there, those are brilliant touches using some of those interesting cloud pieces that came on Monkey Kid sets. The lovely octagonal shape of this, very well executed. The lava that's flowing throughout it as well, great touch. Everything about this rocks. This is so cool. So yeah, brilliant build. And hey, like I said, check the links in the description to all of the builders in today's episode, because this is the end of the episode today. I hope you enjoyed. And check out some of the other work that these talented builders have done. They've built some really, really cool stuff. In the description below is also the submission email. It's on your screen right now too. If you want to submit your own MOCs to the show, you can do so by sending me an email to the email that you're seeing right there. Also in the description is links to my own social media, so you can check out what I'm posting over on Instagram, Flickr, Facebook, all that sort of stuff. Thank you for watching, guys. Happy building, and bye for now.